What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Sunday breakdown video. Now again, we had some amazing support last week on the video, so we really appreciate it. If you do find these videos useful and you enjoy them, be sure to drop us a comment and a like. It's completely free and it shows us that you enjoy this content. Also helps the algorithm, so new people that maybe haven't seen this content before can find it and begin to join the journey along with us. So guys, let's do exactly what we have done up until now. We have our last week's markups. We're going to start off with Euro, as this is generally the place that we start. Now, we're only covering Euro and Gold, as we've stated before. These are our two major pairs that we are following. As many of you know, we have a brand new baby in the family, and we are trying to minimize our chart time, meaning that we are reducing down the amount of pairs that we are trading. We may drop it down to one, but of course having two allows you to sort of have the on and off days for when price action isn't perfect or isn't great, you can alternate between the two. So let's refresh our minds and have a look at exactly what we were seeing last week. We gave out this markup and we ran through in our YouTube video from last Sunday's markup. If you haven't already seen that, check that in the playlists in the YouTube channel. But from where we have right here, we had a very clear area of liquidity built above our highs. We had a major order block below the structured lows. So we were looking for price to deliver in a manner of running the highs and then running higher again, or breaking down within the range, playing lower into the order block, then pushing higher, or this low to fail and run lower. Now this may seem like a lot, but when I play this, you'll see exactly what happens. Now remembering the key factor here, we are overall bullish within this structure, and we have liquidity above the highs. So the main target that we were looking at was this high run right here, and then a bullish push. Now this does not mean we're going to look for a close above, but of course, until we have a shift, we follow what structure was telling us. And at the time, it was telling us bearish on a lower time frame, bullish on a higher. So let's play this right here. And you can see price ran the highs, ultimately swept a high, pulled back, then gave us that high move, then played back down through the lows, came perfectly into contact with this area and pushed higher again. Now this leads us into the scenario that we have marked up for this week. Now I must really emphasize the fact that these are higher time frame scenarios. So we don't expect every aspect of this to happen. We have multiple points that we are looking at, but we trade what price action is showing us. So as you can see right here, we had the original range that was taken out. We ran the highs, we then pushed lower again, staying within our bullish high and our bullish low. And we now have a big push to the downside, giving us the order block contact and then a run higher, ultimately leaving us within a bullish internal range that is ultimately within a bullish higher time frame range. Now again, for context, on the higher time frame we are overall bearish on this pair, but until we see a clear shift, we are not expecting it to just run against the higher time frame structure. So where we are right now, we have the move that we have highlighted here, which is a sell-off move. This is pretty indicative of the 15-minute time frame markup that we have. Ultimately, there is an area within here. We're actually going to post this week as well. An area within here we're looking for price to play off of. Within the 15-minute, price has shifted bearish. If we are continually seeing the push higher here, and price pushes above the internal high and the previously placed swing high, then we are going to look for price to continue to run higher and ultimately follow over the 4-hour trend that we already had in place. Now, if we don't get that and the 15-minute scenario we have in mind plays out, we're going to look at the bottom of this range, so the range being between here and here. We're going to look at the bottom of this range for potential bullish directional movements, as we are bullish within this structure. Okay, or we're going to look for this area to fail And if this low fails, we're going to look for price to run down deeper below this low, ultimately leading us into the bearish scenario that we had marked up from last week, which is this low to fail and price to overall shift into the bearish narrative that we mentioned earlier on, which is also aligning with the higher time frame. So please take your time, look at this, mark up the same levels, digest what it is we're saying. Don't just take it on face value and go, oh, okay. Remember, it's always down to, we have an idea, we have a plan. Price action then plays into that if we are lucky enough, and we can trade correspondingly. If we do not see price action doing what we predict, that is completely fine. We trade it within the context that we understand. This is why the scenarios here are kind of varied in terms of what we're expecting, but they all serve a purpose in the principle of, if we start seeing rejection in this lower area, we expect this potential scenario to happen. If we see a clear break through the lows, we look for this potential scenario to happen, and so on. So please do keep that in mind, okay? So there's your brief overview of Euro. Remember, if you want more detail on these and you'd like the literature on these, make sure you follow the TradingView. You can do that by following the link in the description below. And if you want to be a part of the Discord community and trade with us live on a daily basis, then the link for that is down below as well. So let's go back to the TradingView account here. Remember, we are trying to get to 500 followers on the TradingView account. We've got a little way to go yet, but if you do want to follow us and be involved and see the posts that we put out every Sunday, then please do. We're also going to be posting daily updates this week, so if you are looking forward to that, make sure you follow along as well. Let's head over to gold here. Now, this is the markup from gold last week. Now, you can see we had a very clear bearish range. We shifted from a bullish to a bearish directional move. We ultimately said we're looking for price to either run this low and then continue. That would put in a new range, meaning that we'd have to reassess the markups. We're also looking for price to push higher into the upper end of this range and then sell off, or the sell off to fail and price to close above this range. Note how these arrows just end and that we don't have another prediction, because without this breakout of the high or the breakout of the low, we simply can't over predict what price is going to do. We have to see these points met to then be able to make a realistic assumption as to what price may be looking to do next. So if we play this, you will see exactly what happens. Price plays higher from the low area that we have marked, taps into the upper area that we have highlighted and we showcase for the Discord, and we sold off down to the low, but we have no close below the 4-hour low of yet, which leads us into the scenario that we are looking at for this week. So again, keeping note of what I have said, which is until we have a subsequent move, we can only make assumptions as to what we would like price to do. Currently, we are playing within a bearish movement, so we expect price to continue within that bearish narrative. Now, of course, we have tried twice now to break this 4-hour low without managing to do so. So off the back of that, we have the scenario here as follows. The same 4-hour high as last week. This again is a great example of these higher time frame markups and how you can have a higher time frame bias and it not even play out over the space of a week. Ultimately, we had a pretty decent sell-off from this move, but keeping in mind, just because we have a 4-hour idea doesn't mean that price action is going to deliver it over the space of a week. On your general high volume week, you should see it, but of course, price does as it likes and we follow accordingly. So again, going back to what we noted, we failed to close below this low. We are looking for price to potentially push higher, bringing us back to the order block that we have marked right here, and then price to sell off, breaking out this low. That again will deliver, in theory, a new high and a new low, giving us another bearish range that we would in turn expect to sell off. But again, as I said, until we have a clear shift, we cannot speculate too heavily as to what price is going to do. until price action is there for us to read and we can actually begin to translate it, we can only speculate as to what we want to see, but we don't want to over speculate. So again, the other option for this is if we do not pull back, we simply close below and we have a very simple pullback and continuation down, giving us again, in theory, a new sell range. If price does not decide to do this and it actually pushes higher after the liquidation of these lows and the failure to close below the 4-hour low, we will look for price to take the liquidity that is based above these highs. This in turn will cause price to break higher, and if we close above this 4-hour high, we can then begin to track the new bullish range that is delivered. So again, pretty simple markups for this week. Nothing too crazy, nothing too complex, very simple price action, and we are simply reading what price is showing us. So that wraps up the weekly analysis here, guys. I hope you have enjoyed it. As I said before, if you have taken a couple of key points away from this, or you've enjoyed it, or you just like to sit and relax and watch these videos, make sure you drop us a like and a comment down below, and I hopefully will catch you all in the next one. Have an amazing week, guys. Peace out.